So hey guys, what's up? So it's been a while since I made the last video, and I know that some of you might be waiting for, but I have a lot of things piling around, so I hadn't got the chance to make this one. But as I promised, I told you I would do Uncharted 2 and 3, and more of course, but those ones are the next ones, and starting today with Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 takes, I think it's a couple of years after the first one, and you know, you ended the first one thinking that Drake was with Elena, but turns out they weren't. You know, there was history and everything, but they're not together anymore. And you start with stealth scene, with two new characters, especially Flynn and Chloe, and you just right after start you don't trust both. You just know that Drake knows them quite well, and at least he wants to see where this project goes, because there's a lot of money involved, and they want to rip off the guy who's paying Flynn for the for the discovery, or in this case the robbery, of the small piece. The sequence in the in Istanbul is quite interesting, I have to say, and this part is quite well developed. However, the stealth is introduced heavily here, and it's a huge bonus to have now stealth. However, still in this part the section is not completely well developed, because the AI of the enemy is really, you know, disappointing in this part. So you have a start that's interesting because it's a different direction. I'm just talking about the main action. This part should be a little better. However, this doesn't upset me for two reasons. First, it's not the exactly first part of the game, and second, because in overall game, you know that part is needed. Could be a little better, but it doesn't attack or destroy any kind of fun that you can have with the game. The first part is the beginning. For me, I think it's the best beginning I've played, probably, or maybe God of War 2 was really nice too. But that first part, when you have to climb through the train, where you're most likely dead, and the most interesting part is that you're looking and thinking, well, what happened? How the hell this happened? And you develop that idea and try to want to know, and when you pass a little, just a simple tutorial, and when they finished, it just says, oh, no, it's a flashback, let's go back again. And they introduce again the story, the one that you start missing. So, and you know Chloe, and you know Flynn, as I said, so it's interesting perspective right off the start, and it's not like the first one. That flashback idea developed by Naughty Dog is not the first one, but we will see that's not, it's going to continue in other games, especially Uncharted 3. So it's quite interesting. Development idea. So, the first thing I have to say, the story. Overall, it's quite interesting. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm pretty sure that if you listen to this, you probably already played it on PS3 or PS4. The story is more developed than the first one, more interesting first one, because you have one direct enemy, which is Lazarevic, and don't know a lot about Lazarevic. Actually, the thing that you know the most is actually when Elena explains why she is after Lazarevic, and you know that's a war criminal, that people thought he was dead, and UN it stopped researching because it's always assumed that he's dead. But she's a reporter and trying to publish the idea that he's actually alive and doing more crimes against humanity. And that's all you know about Lazarevic. And it's interesting because in the Borneo part, when you read Sully and everything, you see that Lazarevic is a different kind of enemy that we have previously in the games, because it's ruthless, it's not scared of actually killing in its own people, and it really doesn't look at any means. You know, in the previous one we saw, yes, of course, two enemies, ruthless too, but they were playing okay, especially the Iraj. They seem like they have a small part of small capacity of negotiating the needs and everything. So this case, it's not in any way similar, because Lazarevic really doesn't care. to be really honest, it doesn't give any fuck at all, because when in the ending, when you start seeing that he pissed about Flynn actually, sorry, and trusting Chloe and everything, he's not a really fan of it, and you see that Lazarevich kills his own, really doesn't care, just wants his own goal and doesn't look admin at all. And Lazarevich is my favorite villain of the three. But here we have also, as I would expect, another turn. It's Flynn, which, since you know from almost from beginning that he's a jackass, and it's interesting because you see that's a relationship between him and Drake, which we didn't have previously. So that combination we saw in the first one is a connection with Eddie Raja, but you feel like they were enemies since always. Here you don't. Here you see that's two at least acquaintances which can deal together, but Flynn easily crashes it up and leaves Drake to die actually. So as usually when you see Sully for the first time, you're always happy because you really, in my case, I really like Sully, and when he's on the screen, there's always something funny to happen or interesting at all. So I think Sully is actually the most interesting character, at least funnier character inside the series. And you have Chloe. You do not know if you can trust her or not, because she might be working with Flynn. And even in Borneo, when they find the I guess it's Purba, right? I think it's Purba the name. When they find the Purba, it's kind of a deal to know if this she can be trusted or not. But you can see that there's a lot of story behind it, and develops. There's more depth. It's what I'm trying to find is more depth here. I think it's the game of the entire series. There's more depth, and that's interesting, and this is why this is my first favorite game of the series and one of my favorite games of all time. The graphics are beyond unimaginable. They are. When I played the first game was in 2009. Yes, I was shocked. I think shocked is the right word, because the graphics are perfect and the sequences are much interesting, much more interesting now than they were previously. The train sequence is one of the best sequences I've ever played in video games, and the presentation is just perfect. You know that third one, they develop a bit more in the other senses, not just how it looks, but how it feels. But in this case, you know, the way Drake protects from fire, or things just fall down when you touch them. You know, that perspective, and actually the other thing is that a variety of places that it goes is really good, really great, interesting. Not just the ending by itself, but for instance in Nepal, the way you see the city is destroyed is interesting. You have more interesting puzzles too. So in every case, presentation is in all aspects better, and it's one of the best of all time. And I couldn't recommend it more. So the combat, and I'm going to talk combat and gameplay at the same time. So you know, yeah, I love the combat here. The aiming is better. I can say it's easily better now. The variety of guns too, so it's more engaging. And the best part that you now have is the sneaking missions, or at least sneaking moments where we can hide it, and it feels like a Metal Gear sometimes, which is amazing because I really love Metal Gear. And those aspects, new aspects of how to engage, are more interesting, and you now actually have more verticality. That verticality gives them more joy, or at least when you replay the game, and I'm pretty sure if you like it, you will replay it. It's more and more fun because you have more than one way to go forward, and that's what Naughty Dog I think it's aiming at, and that concluded really well. The enemies still need a lot of shots to die, and the variety of the enemies is not yet ideal, but it's better now. It's much better. You deal with a lot of different, even sometimes even mythological things, but overall it's more interesting now to see the fighting sequences, especially in Nepal. I love the Nepal sequence, all the pilot part. You have to explore every single aspect, the different guns, verticality, and jumping and shooting and everything. So that part actually I thought it was more engaging. and overall the combat is really fun. It's absolutely fun, and I have to keep on saying that. Just to finish, we have to consider the sound mixture and sound effects and everything. It's nearly perfect. Why? Because there are a lot of games that are better, yes, but I think that suits perfectly to the aiming of the game. You know, it's not supposed to be an icon, and the song is not supposed to be the characteristic of the game itself. So the opening sequences, the main song, it's the same as last one, and why not? Because it's really good and it really captures the moment. It feels for me like a bit of Indiana Jones, even in the song. So that's an amazing aspect. Furthermore, you have to consider that the voices are spot on once again, but now they feel more real, and even with more characters, it feels even better. Yeah, and you have more accents for Chloe, for instance, and Flynn, and Lazarevich too. Yeah, it's a different. It's not English by itself, nor even American. So that idea of giving more perspective and more worldwide idea of the game, it's even concluded. It's showing in the voices. So overall, music and sound are spot on. Not very different from last one, but why would change something that's already amazing? So yeah, that's what I would say about this. Overall, I cannot sell this game more than I do. This game is absolutely amazing. One of the best games I ever played. I replayed it on PS4. For in this case, I'm working for the trophies, but it's absolutely worth your money. Once again, sorry for the delay, and I hope to see you again when Uncharted 3 comes out. Bye guys, and please subscribe. Trying to make more, and feel free to give comments about what you think and what you want me to do next. Bye guys.